Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Proving Grounds Open Qualifiers. We got day one action here. I am Andrew Grapeshout, joined alongside my colleague Ben Hawkins. And Hawk, it is finally time to rejoice. Off-season is over. The season has finally arrived, and we've got some really great amateur teams to highlight for you guys as we get ready for Proving Grounds to get underway.
Yes, sir. The off-season is over indeed. It's season 12. We're all 1 year older. We're all 1 year more experienced with League of Legends, but it also means it's time for another season and more awesome amateur matchups.
Absolutely. And we've got 16 amateur matchups to cover here in a row. If we take a look at the schedule that is set up for you guys, there are a lot of matchups going on, not just including the ones that are happening on this stream. Hawk, we see a lot of familiar teams here. Golden Guardians Academy, 100 Thieves Next, Wildcard. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We've got LCS affiliate teams. We've got tons of other teams. Some great matchups to cover today, specifically looking at our second stream as well. Make sure you guys check that out, Unified 2. Also, lots of team streams going on today. So any game that you want to watch, you can find it, of course, here on Unified Live. We will be covering Dinka versus Redbird. East would be an absolutely phenomenal matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just taking a look at all these teams again. There's just so many really amazing organizations, amazing teams, amazing players that are coming through. And I think we want to take a closer look at, some of the other players and the teams, breaking that down, the numbers really quickly. I mean, there's 32 teams, I think 160 players coming through. So much amazing League of Legends players coming into this tournament and getting ready to, make their strides here in Proving Grounds.
Yeah, and I want to draw our attention to one quick stat that we see here. Out of the 160 total players, 57, over 1/3 of these players have never even played in a Tier 2 tournament. That is 57 rookies looking to prove themselves, of course, alongside the 24 returning PG players that made one of the main PG tournaments last year and the 16 pro experienced players. And then, of course, we've got an academy team. We've got LCS affiliated teams, returning amateur teams, and speaking of collegiate teams, Redbird Esports, one of the teams that we're going to be covering, is one of them here in this first game on the stream.
Yeah, and I'm really happy how we've seen so much more collegiate teams kind of come forward here in the amateur circuit. Last year we saw mostly teams like Maryville and Winthrop come in, but now teams like Redbird also have Bay State ranked up pretty high in the seedings as well, and 4 others on top of that. So there's just a lot of collegiate action coming through, and Redbird is one of the most storied organizations here in the collegiate scene, finishing in the quarterfinals of CLOL last year in 2021, and they're retaining a lot of their core players as we head into this new year.
Yeah, it's so exciting to see collegiate really coming together with the amateur. I mean, of course, we've seen collegiate teams around like Maryville in particular, who's really made a name for themselves, but Redbird's Illinois State, they have been around, like you said, and they have actually been in some of these Tier 2 qualifiers, have not quite managed to break into the top level of amateur yet, but they are certainly hungry this year. They are looking to prove themselves. They're hoping to make the main tournament.
And their opponents today will be a different sort of name. We have the collegiate team, very official, and then we have Dinka, never homeless again. This team brought together by superstar top laner Dinka has a lot of familiar names. We see Captain Shrimps in the mid lane, as well as Eno and Duo King, bot lane that has been around the circuit for the last couple of years, as well as a very new jungler here, Sammy.
Yeah, this is such an interesting team and a lineup I'm personally really excited to be seeing. Captain Shrimps, as you mentioned, the mid laner for this team, he was the mid laner for C9 Amateur the entirety of last year and absolutely smurfed it throughout the entire year. And he's actually played with a lot of the players that are currently here. Eno and Duo King played alongside them in UPL Fall 2021 and actually took home the trophy on AoE Cope. Likewise, playing with Eno for a little bit on University of Winthrop as well. And then Sammy, as you mentioned, a pretty new face coming into the scene, but I actually reached out to Dinka to ask about the new jungler, and he sang very high praises of him, saying that he had a lot of great ideas and that he brings a lot to the team, and he actually reminds Dinka of a veteran player, which I think is absolutely incredible. So eyes going to be on the new and old faces present on this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's always really exciting to see a new young player come in. I mean, we have so many rookies, as you mentioned before, Hawk, and having a player get so much high praise from experienced players like Dinka is just really exciting to see. And I hope that, Sammy will be able to, really break through here in their first event of their careers, I'm assuming, having a lot of experience on a lot of the heavy solo queue junglers, champions like Evelyn and Karthus, but also, has experience on other champions like the Hecarim. So interesting to see how that one's going to match up alongside Captain Shrimps, who's another experienced veteran in this space. And talking about the mid jungle duo, we're going to have to go over to the other side as well, because we got GFP and Drew Dozer on the other side, and they are definitely one of the scariest mid junglers here in the collegiate scene.
Yeah, GFP and Drew Dozer are not a mid-jungle to trifle with, as it were. Drew Dozer, in particular, has really made a name for himself in the mid lane here for Redbird Esports. So Sammy and Captain Shrimps are going to have their work cut out for them. Now, something I do want to kind of bring up is that both of these mid laners are notorious for being able to play a lot for their team. They're not necessarily the lane kingdom type of mid laners. They're very good about getting out on the map and getting advantages for their team. So I'm really looking to see which one of these mid laners can kind of get the edge to be able to unlock themselves and be able to enable their jungler to really pop off in this game.
Yeah, and I want to touch on one word that you said there, Hawk, and that is unlock. In the new meta that has kind of started to formulate here in Season 12, we're seeing a heavy priority on champions in the mid lane that can push around and roam to kind of help out their teammates alongside their junglers in the that's why we were talking about that mid jungle duo matchup that we have in this first game. Drew Dozer and Captain Shrimps, both players that play a lot of these push and roam champions. Captain Shrimps specifically has things like the Rumble and things like the Twisted Fate. So that's a really interesting point to put over onto that side. And on the other side, Drew Dozer as well has a lot of really interesting push and roam champions. Got to take a look at champions like that Corki, as well as a Vex that has recently come up in the meta.
Yeah, Vex, of course, the newest champion in the game, really actually going to be looking at priority on the Vex. It's not something that Captain Shrimps has played a ton of, at least on stage and in solo queue. And Vex has been known as a pretty strong champion, especially into certain matchups. She can just auto-push the wave and then leave. And if you're looking for a champion that can not only unlock herself, but deny the opponent from getting roams, Vex is a good one to do it on. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that one banned out. Speaking of bans as well, we've got to look at the support tempos over here for Redbird. Zilean main, just absolutely notorious for this pick, considered to be the #2 Zilean in North America behind Bjergsen himself. So I would expect to see that one banned out. Usually he's not given it. However, maybe not. Maybe Dinka's feeling a little spicy.
I heard his thresh is pretty good, as we are about to head into the draft for game 1 of the Unified Proving Grounds Open Qualifier. We got Dinka, Never Homeless Again on your blue side. Illinois State, also known as the Redbirds, on your red side. Right away, Hawk, expecting to see things like that Zilean potentially being targeted on the side of Dinka. Wouldn't be surprised to even see it taken away first.
Yeah, would not be surprised to see it banned out immediately. A lot of times the first ban you'll see is target bans, kind of hoping that the opposing team will maybe ban out some of the meta bans that you wanted to get rid of anyway. So, yep, there it is. Zilean is banned out. No surprise to I'd expect to see banned. That Vex that we just discussed, I would also not be surprised to see just generally strong power picks like maybe Jinx, Vayne, lots of good blind pickable bot laners that could be taken away, as well as potentially targeting more of these junglers, taking away some of their more carry-oriented options, so that way, if the mid lane does snowball in their favor, jungle doesn't get out of hand as well.
It's going to be Caitlyn, banned away by Illinois State University, one of the Eno's most played champions throughout his career. Definitely focusing a lot on these heavy priority bottom lanes, especially with these new teleport changes that have come into play. We'll see what Dinka decides to take away with this second ban. It will be that Corki, another Drew Dozer special to say the least, and another champion that has been impacted with the new preseason changes with that first strike.
Yeah, and honestly, this Corki ban tells me one thing. Dinka wants to fight, because Corki is a champion that is so good at just neutralizing mid lane and not really allowing you to play the game, and he can just choose when to fight because he takes package every 5 minutes and uses it through a team fight and kills everyone. So removing that champion signals to me that Captain Shrimps maybe is going to want to flex his muscles on Drew Dozer a little bit, or at least force him, dare him to take that matchup and see which one of them can come out on top in an all-out brawl.
Yeah, and some more focus to the mid lane as well. Captain Shrimps' Twisted Fate, another signature pickup, will not be on the table for this first game. And we're seeing a lot of, I would say, target bans so far. Looks like both of these teams don't really want to see their opponents on something that they are super comfortable with. We're going to continue with the mid lane priority with that Victor taken away as well.
Yeah, another low interaction ban banned out by Dinka. So I definitely expect to actually see a pretty aggressive composition come out just from the bans. I'm really excited to see what the last ban will be. I would expect maybe to see another ADC jungle ban come through here. Still lots of strong power picks available. And for Dinka themselves, looking at first picks, things like the Jinx has been super strong, at least in solo queue. Vayne, probably not first pickable, but it could definitely come out. It is something that I do believe, may have in his wheelhouse, as well as maybe just getting a comfort pick for Sammy. Of course, first game on stage, getting something comfortable oftentimes is the key to success. And there it is, Xin Zhao locked in.
Yep, Xin Zhao, a champion that can have a whole lot of impact in the early stages of the game and really matches kind of the bans that we're going through, Hawk. It looks like Dinka wants to play super proactively through their mid-jungle duo. We'll see what Captain Shrimps ends up blocking maybe in this next rotation. On the other side, though, we see a familiar name up in the top side for ISU. It is Disconnector, a player who has played in the bot lane for the Redbird in 2021 and has role swapped up to top to make way for Nuclear, a player who has also been a part of this Illinois State team to come back and fill in that bot lane position. Yeah,
and this is definitely a role swap we're going to want to keep our eyes on, because Disconnector is going to have his work cut out for him in game number 1. We've been saying the name all the time with the team, but Dinka is no slouch of a top laner. He's definitely had his way. He's been around the amateur scene for quite a while at this point. So they can actually guarantee him red side counterpick if they decided to go for it. However, support counterpick has definitely been influential so far. And speaking of picks that we were talking about, that Vex getting locked in for Drew Dozer. He's been spamming into solo queue. It's an extremely strong blind pick, can dictate a lot of matchups. And then the Trundle, traditional counter pick into the Xin Zhao, does well at mitigating a lot of that tempo that the pick can generate.
Yeah, and we're seeing the match here in the mid-jungle. Captain Shrimps picking up that Syndra as well to go alongside Sammy's Xin Zhao. So not entirely sure how the interaction between Vex and Syndra works. I know that Vex definitely will be very good into Xin Zhao with all the dashes and slashes that he has in his kit. We'll see what Dinka, never homeless again, decides to round out their first rotation with, and it will be a Senna going over to Eno or potentially Duo King, who has played it quite a lot.
Yeah, this is actually really exciting to see come through. It is quite a comfort pick for Duo King, so I'd expect to see it in his hands. Now, what I'm not sure about is whether or not it'll be a fasting or a feasting Senna, as it were. And if, we'll maybe be on something a little bit more unorthodox with a fasting Senna, or if it'll just be with a traditional ADC. In regards to the Syndra matchup into the Vex, it generally does pretty well in early lane. You just can generally outdamage, match shove pretty well, and you've got the get off me with the Scatter of the Week as well, should Vex decide to go in for a little bit more of an aggressive trade. So I'm expecting Captain Shrimps to at least feel pretty comfortable in the early lane. Now, what will be really interesting, again, is William is able to get out of the lane. And once Vex hits level 6, that ultimate can definitely be a pretty potent gank and counter gank tool.
Yeah, and a lane that we might see these mid laners kind of focus towards is that bot lane. See ISU locking in that Jinx with their third pick of the draft. Going over towards Nuclear, a player who has very traditionally received a lot of resources as a member of the Redbirds lineup. Yeah. So getting a champion that really thrives on having a lot of gold and doing a lot of damage like this Jinx, especially into a lane like the Senna, which is generally considered to be a bit safer, definitely will be interesting. We're headed into the second phase of the bans here, already seeing targets towards the support pool. We're seeing Blitzcrank and Karma taken off the table, as well as that Veigar. I mean, Veigar support definitely could be a possibility here. I mean, we already see Captain Shrimps locking in that Syndra, so I guess that's where the target is going towards.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested to see the Veigar ban. I haven't seen Duo King playing too much of it, but I like it. A little bit of respect ban coming through. I mean, hey, it sucks to play Trundle into Veigar. I can tell you that firsthand, so maybe GFP not wanting to deal with that one. But I really like this Jinx fix into the Senna because the Jinx just signals to me that Nuclear is going to want to farm up and get those resources, as you mentioned. And with the Senna, it kind of plays into the mid-jungle sort of style that Dinka seems to be setting up with the Xin Zhao Syndra. Senna can also ult in post 6 and provide a lot of utility in the team fights as well as keeping the front line topped off. But Lulu getting locked in. This is a very strong combo. I'm sure we've been seeing it in our solo queue games over the preseason. Oh, yeah. Lulu, Jinx on the bottom side. If Nuclear gets the resources that he so desires, he's going to pop off in this game.
And right now, for the Redbirds, it looks like everything is kind of just focusing on this Jinx here for Nuclear. The last pick is going to be targeted towards that top side, but as we said, Disconnector, a player who has just recently role swapped, probably not going to expect to see too much of a strong side focus towards that lane. Instead, more likely to see something like a tank come through for Disconnector. Has also been pretty good at champions like the Gangplank, which has a whole lot of global presence. But on the other side, Dinka will lock in that Nautilus here for Duo King, as well as a Gangplank going over to Dinka, another champion that can have a whole lot of hard carry potential.
Yeah, I mean, Dinka has locked in a full-on level 6, we are going to fight you in the mid-game kind of composition. This is definitely the Gangplank, the Nautilus. They can get out and roam. The Gangplank Cannon Barrage coming down. It just does so much damage. But I do like the Graves last pick here for Disconnector. I mentioned that they might try to save him for counter pick. That way, you know, not only can he survive up against this prolific top laner in Dinka, but maybe even try to thrive, which would be quite a statement here in the first game of Proving Grounds 2022 Open Qualifiers, if I do say so myself. And just looking at these compositions holistically, again, Dinka, they're looking to fight you a level 6. Early Dragons, early Rift Heralds, they want to be there first, and they want to dare you to fight. Meanwhile, Redbirds, they've got a little bit more scaling options. This big ol' Jinx in the backline will be doing damage when she hits 3 items, and you've got a robust front line in the Trundle, Lulu in the back as well.
I mean, I just have to say, if you have a player who just switched from the bot lane to the top lane, maybe the best option is to put him on a marksman, and that's Graves coming through. I mean, it seems like pretty flawless logic for me. Sure, Graves hasn't been a bot laner in like, what, 7 years, but it doesn't really matter. A marksman is still a marksman. Going up against Dinka's Gangplank is actually a lot more of a resource-heavy champion than I might have expected coming out of Disconnector, and we'll see if he's able to pull it off. As we just take a look at these, you know, team compositions once more. We're going to get a nice little switch for you guys. Taking a look in a different format. Once again, Dinka on the blue side, Redbirds on the red. Reminder that this is just a best of 1. Got 5 rounds of Swiss action coming your way. You're going to need 3 wins in the bracket in order to qualify for the group stage, which starts on Wednesday. So getting this early win definitely puts you in a good position to continue to try and qualify for those playoffs, or, you know, continue to just start on the right foot, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, getting started on the right foot is absolutely monumental for these teams. As you mentioned, 3 wins to get into the main stage. But not only that, 5 points towards main Proving Grounds per win that you get. So you're not done at 3 wins, and you're not done at 1 or 2 losses. Every game counts here in the Swiss bracket, in the open qualifiers. At the end of the day, though, only 16 teams can qualify. So if you want to prove yourself for the Proving Grounds, the time starts now.
Dinka being the higher seed in this sort of matchup, but it is just round 1 of this Swiss bracket, and a lot of things can change. Maybe upsets can happen. The Redbirds are a team that has a lot of previous synergy already built into it, so, you know, maybe see them with a little sort of an advantage as we are about to head into this game. Just really excited to see how this one matches up. Lots of important games going on all across Twitch. And remember to make sure to check out our sister channel on Unified 2, as well as the multitude of team streams that are going on. But yeah, Hawk, I mean, Season 12 is about to start. I'm just so excited. This is the first competitive action that we have of the new year. I'm really glad to be here to cover it with you guys.
Absolutely. It's crazy to me. Let's take a step back for a moment that we are now in Season 12 here of League of Legends. I personally started playing in Season 6. I've been around for more than half the seasons at this point. It just feels crazy to me. And so either way, it's Season 12, like you said. It is so exciting. We have come such a long way, but the time is now. Proving Grounds 2020 starts here.
Teams are making their way down the rift. We're seeing an interesting 5-stack here for Redbirds to start things off. Taking a look at some of the different runes and itemization choices here. Lethal tempo here on GFP, but I might have to start to focus on something because we got a 5-stack here in the bot lane.
They're coming. Oh, the ward. Okay, Duo King spotted.
Blind hook. No, it's just going to leave one landing here onto tempos, but look at the fear coming out of Drew Dozer, and now Dinka is forced to run for the hills. Flashes forward is coming from the Redbirds team. One more rocket would have taken down Sammy, but it will not be enough damage to do the deed. Oh, wait, look at the fear. Oh, taking a look.
You know. Oh
Gets the
my
first
word!
blood.
Eno gets taken down here for first blood. The electrocute proc comes down. Drew Dozer picks it up. I said that Dinka, no home again, would want to fight, but they come out on the wrong side of it. Redbird Esports picking up the first one of the tournament.
And who better than in the hands of Drew Dozer, getting an extra Sapphire Crystal to just add to the lane priority that he will be able to have in this matchup on the Vex. Going to continue to push these waves in. As you take a look around the map, going to be topside starts for both of these junglers, as they will both be focusing down towards the bottom lane.
Yeah, unsurprising. I mean, Flash is blown basically everywhere. Captain Shrimps is the only one with the flash advantage in this game. Everybody else either blew it or both the top laners still have it. So unsurprisingly, plays are going to want to be made here on this bottom side. However, you know, coming back to lane here, Drew Dozer with that extra Sapphire Crystal, that's even more potential wave shove that he will have. More mana to provide himself, and also building towards that lost chapter even quickly will more quickly, I should say, will be absolutely massive. So with a 500 gold lead, Redbird Esports and Drew Dozer in particular, we were highlighting this mid lane, are feeling good.
Look at that jungle pathing here from GFP, going from red buff to Gromp, I think. This is not super expected. It's just going to be the red-blue Gromp here, trying to get that early level 3. Taking a look down towards the bottom lane, it will be a farming Senna here for Eno, who is currently under the name Blue Skies here on the live client, which is to be expected because of that Nautilus, but interesting to bring up nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually wonder if GFP will be looking for a potential invade on the red buff. Remember, Sammy, no Flash, and Trundle does pretty well, but no, it looks like he's going to try to go to Captain Shrimps as he tries to crash the wave. He just used the Scatter of the Weak, so Captain Shrimps needs to be careful. His jungler is nearby.
Sammy is in the area as well. Pillar will kind of just knock Captain Shrimps back a little bit, so not, you know, enough to really be super dangerous in terms of a kill going down, but still some added priority going over to the Redbirds, who are starting off this game very, very well.
Yeah, definitely. Just a little bit of extra pressure, like you said. Shrimp Captain needs to think twice about stepping up in the mid lane here against the Redbird. So just getting zoned off and preventing the wave from getting crashed in is pretty big for Drew Dozer in this matchup. However, they did see the Trundle go topside, so now it's Sammy's turn to potentially make a play while the bot lane tries to crash their wave.
See, Sammy just kind of waiting around right now. Dual King might try to look for an aggressive hook, but it looks like the Redbirds know better than to continue to push forward. Going to just back away for now, prevent that gank from coming through. Still see a whole lot of focus now towards that bottom lane, and already, Hawk, these junglers are just being very, very aggressive to start things off.
Yeah, I mean, definitely an aggressive kind of game. And it's to be expected when you've got Zinzao in the game, I would say, wanting to get him off to an early start. And Trundle was picked specifically to counter it. It does well into the matchup for a reason. He's just able to outduel you, outsustain you, outclear you a lot of the time. The only thing that Zinzao really has over him is still that playmaking potential. So GFP, unsurprisingly, pathing in such a way to keep his laner safe and prevent Dinka from getting priority.
Absolutely, and taking a look now towards this mid lane, GFP and Tempos. Going for a little bit of a roam. Tempos on the Lulu. Not necessarily a super hard engaged support, but they're going to try to make it work here against Captain Shrimp. That's a much better pillar coming out from GFP, forcing that flash.
Yeah, really nicely done right there. Pretty low commit gank. It was just Tempos coming up on the bot roam, as well as GFP throwing in the pillar, forcing the flash out from Captain Shrimps. And Captain Shrimps is already teleported back to lane 1, so that little bit of health advantage, even so, we'll be doing even more work. So Captain Shrimps needs to be careful in this one, and a nice little freeze, not quite from Nuclear, but just a good spot to be in once again if you are the side of Redbird Esports here in this early game.
Interestingly enough, though, Hawk, taking a look at the gold, looks like Dinka has kind of found their way back into this one. Gold is dead even, despite that first blood going down early on into the game. Taking a look around the map, definitely towards that mid and bot lane, Captain Shrimps and Eno have put up pretty solid CS leads for themselves, but Drew Dozer still the one on top with that first blood in the pocket.
Yeah, also a camp lead here for Sammy. Of course, we saw GFP kind of take an unorthodox path. He did the red-blue Gromp, then went back up to his Raptors, Wolves, ganked mid twice in there. So a lot of time sort of spent not farming, which it did get a good advantage for his team in getting the flash off of Captain Shrimp. So we'll have to see how that one's able to be punished, because Sammy is going to feel pretty good about the camps he's been able to acquire in this one.
Here at the 5-minute mark will be an Ocean Dragon spawning here for this first game, and it looks like GFP is going to be the one to start it up first in this one. Sammy going for a bit of an invade as well. Bit of a quieter start than I might have expected here, Hawk, but with the ultimates coming up online for a lot of these players in just a couple of minutes, might turn on its head rather quick.
Yeah, ultimates are definitely what I'm looking for as well, but I like this play from GFP. Again, seems like he's playing a lot more for the team than he is for his own selfish devices, as we saw Sammy take away his Raptor camp, but getting the Dragon for his team with the priority that they had down there on the bottom side. An Ocean Dragon first, no less, feels pretty good. The extra sustain in lane will particularly go a long way for Drew Dozer and Disconnector in these more pokey style sort of lanes. Disconnector is not really zoned off the wave. He has to back up for a second while Sammy was on the top side, but he's able to come back and pick up most of these minions, at least the XP on those, which is pretty big for his matchup.
And this is an interesting matchup to watch out for. Dinka, one of the players that have a lot of experience up here in the top lane, actually recently played in Proving Grounds as a part of 100 Thieves Next during that strange substitute situation that happened around Worlds. On the other side, going up against Disconnector, a role-swapping top laner. And right now the matchup is kind of looking as expected. Dinka with about a 10 CS advantage. Interestingly enough, though, Disconnector running the exhaust and already has used it, which means that some pretty spicy trades have already erupted up there.
Yeah, and this actually was something we were talking about before getting on stream, Grapes, was the changes to teleport and how that would affect solo lane summoner spell choices. And it seems that Disconnector has seen the light on the exhaust top lane. I'm not going to come out and say that it's better per se, but if you're looking to avoid dives from a Xin Zhao GP, maybe even a Nautilus roaming up there, an exhaust is definitely a good way to do it. And not much of a 1-3-1 type composition here for Dinka coming through. So it's not like you really need to match in all three lanes throughout the game. You can just go catch the waves when you're needed, meaning that teleport value goes down pretty significantly as Captain Shrimps. Oh, Pillar barely going to go wide. GFP not able to land that one again.
Yeah, the Trundle Pillar is a interesting hitbox to say the least. It's very, very fine lines between knocking somebody in the right direction or the wrong direction. And it looks like Captain Shrimps have gotten the better end of the trade 2 times out of 3 so far, and has kind of been left pretty untouched here, has developed a nice little CS lead for himself, and maybe we'll look to continue to impact around the map as he goes for a recall here.
Yeah, absolutely. GFP just hitting the level 6 at about 8 minutes. Slightly later than maybe he was hoping for, but again, he's playing more for the team as we do see a bit of a trade on the bottom side.
Yeah. Nuclear chunked out a little bit. Doesn't look like, and Duo King have the damage to really take down any of these players just yet. Tempos and Nuclear are sitting at pretty low mana pools for now, but doesn't look like anybody really is in the area for Dinka to try and capitalize on that. But taking a look at the gold now, Dinka now developing a 1k gold lead. So it looks like slowly but surely the higher seeded team at the moment is continuing to just build on these lane leads that they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's just coming down to the CS everywhere. In jungle and all 3 lanes, there is a CS lead here for the side of Dinka, and that is contributing immensely to this gold lead, despite the unfortunate first blood that went down. So, I mean, 20 CS in top lane, 20 CS in mid, this is absolutely monumental. And of course, we were sort of discussing the 2, I feel like, most notable players coming in here for Dinka. Where are their solo laners? As Captain Shrimp still no flash.
Yep, Shadow Surge forward. Captain Shrimp's in a bit of trouble. Uses the Unleash power onto Drew Dozer, but only chunking him into about half HP.
Flash.
GFP looking to go forward, but here comes Sammy. Gonna try and make this a bit of a trade. Cannon Barrage coming through as well, and Captain Shrimps stays alive as Sammy will get the final hit on the GFP.
Yeah, GFP barely not able to finish that one off. The timing was just a bit off on it. Another pillar kind of going wide there for GFP. Drew Dozer goes in, does the full combo, but not really able to find enough damage in the Trundle. Not super in range by the time it goes down, so we'll see. Scatter the Weak comes through. Drew Dozer takes the opportunity, finds the fear, but look at the pillar. Not really able to slow down Captain Shrimps at all, just paths around it with the phase rush. The flash comes through from GFP to try to find the slow, but it's not enough, and he gets taken down in the end. So nicely done by Captain Shrimps to avoid the gank. An unfortunate GFP just barely not having the damage, just barely not having the timing to find that one. And in a game of inches like League of Legends, it is Dinka coming out on top.
And you might not be able to teleport to, some of the other lanes here in this game, but Dinka still had an impact on the map in the top side, using that Cannon Barrage, a global ultimate that was available for their team to try and slow down GFP and end up taking him down. So just another instance of the preseason having a sort of impact here in this game already. Going to see probably a lot more Gangplank so far in the rest of this season with the amount of power that it has on the global scale.
Yeah, I mean, Gangplank just always provides so much. He's a weak side top laner that is also a carry, and it's the two top laners that kind of fit into that bin are generally Kale and GP, but Kale is a lot more high risk, high reward, hyperscaling, whereas GP, with that global ultimate that you mentioned, can be useful in all stages of the game. Once that ultimate comes through, without having to actually attend any fights, he can participate, and that is such a big boon, as you mentioned.
Cloud Dragon just about to spawn here for this side. Oh, sorry, it's a Hextech Drake on the side of the Redbirds. Looks like they have the priority over it at the moment. And we see, you know, ISU going for a lot of these early aggressive plays here with GFP. It just looks like they haven't really been paying off so far.
Yeah, I mean, they spent so much attention on Captain Shrimps, but they were never actually able to get a kill, and now his flash is back up, and not only that, you actually gave over a return kill before the flash comes up. Definitely not what you want to see. Now, it does feel good for them. They are going to be able to take down this Hextech Dragon off of the reset coming through from the mid-jungle duo of Dinka, as well as no Cannon Barrage being available, or Unleash Teleport, so no global advantage for the side. So they do still maintain their dragon stacking advantage, but we did also see Sammy take the Rift Herald a few minutes ago. I'd expect that one to maybe be dropped towards the Syndra to funnel in some gold, and most importantly, keep this Vex down, because Drew Dozer, yeah, he had first blood coming into lane, but being down 20 CS is definitely not where he wanted to be.
Yeah, definitely not. Oh, taking a look at the bottom side. Dual King just barely missing out on that hook. Nuclear, though, taking a decent amount of his HP. We see the junglers in the area around the bottom side, as well as Captain Shrimps, who's beginning the roam. GFP is going to be the one who gets here first. The hook is going to land onto Nuclear instead. Dawning Shadow as well. The shields will not be enough, as Eno will pick up the kill onto Nuclear. Captain Shrimps looking here. Looks like Dinka wants to go for the dive. Tempos has to flash away, but now GFP is stuck under the tower in a 1v4. One more auto will do, and a double kill unofficially going over to Eno. On the other side, Drew Dozer and Disconnector were able to take down Dinka, but at the end of the day, it is a 2-for-1 with plates going down in the bottom side.
Dinka's typing more than all chat right now. 2-for-1. It doesn't matter. We're going to get your turret. You know, whatever. But yeah, I mean, a really good counter gank coming out on the bottom side here from the side of Dinka. They're able to get down there with their mid laner and their jungler first. So despite the play being proactively made by the side of Redbird, it doesn't end up working out. Unfortunately, Dinka does get a little bit of a mid lane roam on him. He's almost able to take down Disconnector, but with the exhaust, he stays alive, and just the burst from Vex is massive, taking him down. So at least a return kill as the Vex ult does land, but no, will not be followed through by Drew Dozer and Captain Shrimps. We'll just manage to stay alive.
And that was an interesting play that Redbirds decided to make. Instead of, you know, trying to focus all their resources towards one side of the map, tried to do something bot and something top.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it didn't end up really working out for them too well. It's a very high risk, high reward sort of situation, and it looks like Dinka was able to punish that.
Yeah, and maybe that's some of the miscoordination that we are going to see from this Illinois State lineup. Of course, all these players have played on this roster at some point or another, but remember, Disconnector, role swapping from top lane, and both Nuclear and Tempos did not play on this roster last year. They were both elsewhere and now have returned this year. So it's actually been quite a while since these 5 players have played together in this way, and Disconnector has never been the top laner for this team. So, you know, first game together on stage, we are likely to see disconnects like that. However, it is a costly one, as Dinka finds themselves with a 4,000 gold lead actually at 14 minutes, mostly off the back again of farm and tower plates that have been taken. Yeah,
really kind of just crept up on you. As the turret plates fell, you can see across the map that a majority of them have been already taken by the side of Dinka, never homeless again. And with that, as you said, Hawk, 4,000 gold lead, even though the kill lead is not really at that much of a difference. It's literally just 3-2. Yeah, you can see that across the plates and across the CS numbers as well. Look at Captain Shrimps here, 32 CS ahead.
Yeah, and something I kind of want to point out is we've seen a lot of proactivity from both junglers, right? We've seen GFP particularly sending a lot of attention down towards the mid lane, where Sammy has been doing a lot of hovering lanes, just forcing people to back up as the hook goes wide there, but forcing the laners to back up and sack waves without actually having to commit to a gank. So it means he can farm his camps at the same time, and then the Redbirds also have to respect the threat of a dive. So it's sort of a 2-for-1 farm advantage, whereas GFP has been committing a lot more on his ganks and not being able to find a kill advantage is where so much of this gold lead, I feel like, comes from, as we are seeing a dive.
Yeah, a bit of a dive up here in the top side. GFP was here to try and provide some reinforcements, but it does not look like it will be enough. Eno does get out with very, very little HP, and Sammy just going to pop that Crescent Guard and get out pretty safely for now, but here comes Nuclear and Tempest looking to make a play on the other side. Sammy will fall, and now Duo King has to run away. Nuclear has the resets, has the extra attack speed. Duo King misses the hook, which means he will go down very, very shortly. The Zap will be the one to finish the job as Nuclear, the carry here for Redbird, getting a couple of early kills.
Yeah, beautifully done right here. Redbirds, just as we were saying that they were starting to fall behind, they strike right back. This time, the proactive play is made by Dinka, but they just take a little too long on the dive. And most importantly, Sammy took an extra tower shot and got very low. So Nuclear is able to pick up a reset on the assist, and then he chases down the Nautilus with the help of the lethal tempo, extra range, and attack speed, and the hook going wide on the terrain. Certainly not helping out either. So Jinx now picks up a kill. Nuclear, we mentioned, if he's able to come online and get the resources that this team likes to put into him, he could be a massive carry threat. So that one definitely feels good if you are an ISU fan.
Already seen that Gale Force come into play for Nuclear, knowing that there's a lot of potential lockdown here with Duo King and Captain Shrimps. Wants to just try to stay as safe as possible, try and deal out as much damage while staying alive in that case. It will be a Cloud Soul across the map as that third Drake has just spawned. GFP and Sammy both are in the area, but I think Dinka are going to be the team that has the priority.
Grapes, I have a question for you. Do you like to dance? Because they're doing the dragon dance right now, as it is Dinka strong-arming their way into the river. Dragon already down to half HP, but it does seem like Redbirds are setting up a contest.
Yeah, Duo King is just doing so much work to zone out GFP. Can he get into the pit? The answer is no. Sammy will pick up the Drake, but Drew Dozer is into the middle of the enemy team. Captain Shrimps takes down Nuclear almost instantaneously, though. And now Dinka is the team that is trying to do the work. Taking down Tempest is Sammy. GFP will get a trade back, but now it's a 1v2. Can GFP do anything? Just being a little bit of a trundle, not going to be enough, as Duo King will be the one to land the final blow. Drew Dozer is running in the very, very wrong direction, and Captain Shrimps will finish the job with the scatter.
Oh, it looked good at first, but Drew Dozer finding the multi-man fear off the back of the Vex ultimate, but Sammy in the middle splits it up with the Crescent Guard, and it's just impossible to walk through this Xin Zhao at the end of it all. It is Dinka coming out alive. Nice job here from Duo King zoning out the team, and again, Sammy, he hits the smite and then gets into the middle of everybody. Crescent Guard just zoning out the DPS. And as soon as the fight gets messy, it just favors this Dinka composition so heavily. The Senna can run people down. The Xin Zhao can run people down. And once the Vex Burst is gone, there's not really too much left for Drew Dozer to do. So he runs away towards the enemy base. He gets taken down as well. A beautiful fight coming through from the side of Dinka. They stop the dragon stacking, and they put themselves firmly in control of this game.
Yeah, and that was kind of what secures the lead that's been happening. I mean, it looked like Dinka was pretty far ahead, but that dragon fight really confirms it. Taking a look at the gold, it's just been a very, very steady link up for Dinka, never homeless again, ever since that first blood ended up going down. And they're going to look to try to push their advantages more and more as they head later on into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned how this team wants to get a big lead early, and they've managed to do it. Again, it's only 8-5 in kills, but this team has just laned so effectively. They've managed to find advantages everywhere, and that seems like it's going to be one of the strengths of this Dinka team is, although there's some new faces, some faces we haven't seen in Amateur for a little while, they're all very experienced players in their own right. I mean, Duo King has played in Academy 2 years ago, as we do see a fight breaking out in the river.
Yeah, speaking of which, Drew Dozer doesn't have the ultimate. Now is just trapped between everybody on the side of Dinka. It will be the namesake of the team taking him down. And look at Tempos. Didn't even have a chance to do anything about that. Captain Shrimps with the one shot. Now 2 more kills going over to Dinka.
Yeah, Captain Shrimp sitting at 3-0 and 2 as a stun lands.
Nuclear just have to flash away here, and it doesn't look like they will be able to defend this mid lane turret. Dinka never homeless again, going across the map and making their homes all over Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, just brute force. Redbirds, they think that they can contest the river. They can contest the river, but it is Dinka saying no. Captain Shrimps, he's about to show them the meaning of skill button. 3-0 and 2 on the Syndra. We saw what he could do to the poor Lulu, and we know he's probably got a fat stack of gold in his back pocket if we can toggle to it briefly. I mean, just absolutely massive here on the Syndra, and as well, Eno on this Senna, just looking so incredibly strong, and it's actually Dinka, that is the most fed on this team, 186 farm, 4,000 gold to his name, as well as taking towers. Just the carries are online here for Dinka as we have gold leads everywhere, in every lane.
Yeah, it kind of creeps up on you as the Gangplank, with all of the extra gold that you get through the Silver Serpents. Dinka already completing 2 items, working towards that 3rd with the Crit Cloak and the Longsword already in inventory. And so just looks like there are threats all over the map for this team. And for ISU, there's not too much what you can look at and say, okay, this is a clear win condition. You have the potential for Drew Dozer to maybe come in and one-shot some of the carries, but we've seen so far in this game hasn't had enough damage to really do that just yet.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Dozer, I feel like, has been playing the team fights fine. He's getting in there, he's finding big fears, he's doing big damage, but the fact of the matter is, Vex can't kill everybody, at least not yet. You need damage from somewhere else, and we've not really seen Nuclear, Disconnector, or GFP be able to really step up past this Xin Zhao, past this Nautilus, to help their mid laner, and Nuclear is well off of the item spikes that he needs. He finally has completed the rapid fire cannon, but he is still a full Infinity Edge away from being able to do real damage. And with Baron on the map, with Dragon spawning in 40 seconds, you have to kind of figure out how much you can give up without losing the game if you're Redbirds while you wait for those item spikes to come online. But knowing Dinka, they're not going to take their foot off the gas pedal.
Absolutely not, and it looks like the focus pings going towards that Dragon once again. Cloud Drakes are just so important on this Dinka roster, especially when you consider that Cannon Barrage being one of the most impactful ultimates of the game. Getting that reduced cooldown off of that, definitely very, very useful. 10 seconds until that ends up spawning, and it looks like they're just going to have full control.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not expect a contest to come through on this one. This is the big boon of Redbirds having taken the first 2 dragons, means that the threat of soul stacking from Dinka is at least 10 minutes away. So it won't be until 32 minutes when that might come through. And it's also a Cloud Dragon, as we do see a little bit of a threat around Baron. I would not expect this to be too serious of a threat. It's just a prank. It's just a prank. They're going to walk away.
I got scared for a little bit.
Yeah. However, getting Scuttle there is actually pretty big. It denies free Baron setup for the side of Dinka, but Nuclear is in danger.
Oh, Duo King wants it, just using the dredge line to try and get closer and closer. The Cannon Barrage does a decent amount of damage, but there's no follow-up from the rest of his team. It looks like Nuclear will get out with his life, sans that Gale Force. It's a very, very tense situation here for Redbirds. They know that one single mistake could mean Baron, could mean the game.
Yeah, Nuclear should be counting his blessings. I actually wonder if Duo King maybe could have gone for the flash depth charge. It was very close to being in range if he was able to flash over those choppers. In the end, it is Dinka deciding not to go for it, which I don't fault them for. I mean, you don't need to blow all your cooldowns right now. If you're just going to siege on a mid lane with the Herald, you're still going to get something out of this. Eno is hitting from very far away already. Probably has a good amount of stacks on this Senna. If we can maybe get a quick stack check to see where he's at. But that mid lane tier 2 does go down. That is another 600 gold into the back pockets of this team. 67 Senna stacks already at 23.5 minutes for, remember, a feasting Senna. This was not a fasting Senna. That is quite a few stacks. See an ult.
Could be the target here of this play. Drew Dozer has the wild growth on him and it's staying alive.
He's alive!
Is about to go down.
They got him.
Final chop will come through from GFP, but look at the teleports into the backside. Dinka is doing so much work, already taking down Nuclear, and Drew Dozer will soon to follow. Disconnector now has to try and get away from the rest of this Dinka squad. It's a 2 for 1 so far, and Sammy is looking for more onto GFP. Gonna try to flash forward, land the slow, land the knock-up. Conqueror proc, Captain Shrimps here as well. The Unleashed Power will finish the job as the mid laner for Dinka, never homeless again, is now unstoppable.
Redbirds, they pull the trigger, they find the shutdown onto the enemy AD carry, but it's just not enough to counter-engage with the Unleashed teleport from Captain Shrimps, and the damage over the top manages to win them the fight. They will get the Baron as their reward. It's going to be a 10,000 gold lead when it's all said and done for the side of Dinka, never homeless again, and the higher seed is making a statement here in Game 1.
Absolutely, and it was kind of close towards the beginning, Hawk, but as you said, it just has felt ever since, the first couple of minutes of this game, the Dinka has just, grasped more and more control over this game. Baron finally goes down. Let's take a look at this replay again, because Drew Dozer got a pretty solid engage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the side of Redbirds. They're calling to try to punish the reset that came through from Dinka. Captain Shrimps went top lane. Sammy wasn't actually present for the start of the fight, so a beautiful ultimate from Drew Dozer comes through, and they almost one-shot the Senna. Eventually, GFP takes him down. Unfortunately, they just didn't really have anything left in the tank, so once the side of Dinka came around, they're able to take down the kills. They're able to then chase down the Trundle as well, which guarantees the Baron on the back side. So Dinka, they play it right. They find the kills. They find the objective. And now, if we thought the game was hard for Redbird already, this Senna hitting from so far away. Baron minions online. The siege is now.
It's going to be a tough task here for the Redbirds. Nuclear still really not at that third item just yet. They have to try to find some sort of pick, but if you think about it, Hawk, that was a pretty solid engage for the Redbirds.
Yeah.
And it really didn't end up working out for them. So we'll see if they're will be able to maybe save this game for themselves here, as there's still about 2 minutes of this Baron power play still available. Disconnector did get one of the objective bounties down in the bottom side. Going to trade that for the top lane inner turret, as the rest of Dinka is continuing to push into the Redbird base.
Yeah, nice trade right there from Disconnector. Of course, objective bounties are one of the new mechanics for Season 12. It's a new comeback mechanic that was implemented. Whenever the team that is significantly behind takes any objective, they do get that bonus gold, as the dredge line barely goes wide here. We might see a bit more of a fight. Duo King. Nope,
He's
just
tanky.
getting chunked. Yeah, he's a tanky little Nautilus right there, but yeah, I mean, so nicely done by Disconnector to at least pick up something for his team, because clearly it is incredibly difficult to defend even with him here. And I want to, again, talk about that last fight, because like you said, it was a nice engage that came through from Redbirds, but it was quite frankly just gold at work in that fight. Dinka is just far enough ahead where they weren't quite able to one-shot the Senna.
Oh!
And then they turn the fight! Wait! Juno's just gone!
What?
Skill button!
Oh my goodness. From a mile away, it seems like Captain Shrimp's assassinating Drew Dozer. What on earth just happened? Now a 4v5 for the next 35 seconds,
line.
and now Dinka wants to go forward. Doesn't look like Duo King's going to do too much after that hook, but the first inhibitor's already gone down. The one on the top side is soon to follow. Duo King landing another hook, just continuing to pressure out the Redbirds. Still fighting 4v5. Scatter lands onto 2, but it doesn't look like Dinka, never hopeless again, wants to continue the push. Instead, they'll back out, take that victory with 2 inhibitors down.
Yeah, Captain Shrimps, we said he was the player to watch on this Dinka. No homeless, never homeless again roster. And he's showing why. 6-0 to the unleashed power, taking down the Yordle in her own base. Soul point here now going to be picked up by the side of Dinka. This is a statement game 1, Graves, because I know we both had a couple of questions about this roster coming in. We knew how good all these players were individually, but they were all players that, you know, weren't really in the scene quite as heavily last year, or they were doing other stuff last year, so we weren't sure, A, how they would play here in Season 12, and B, how they would play together. And in game number 1, up against a strong Redbirds lineup, they have looked phenomenal.
I mean, doing this well against one of the best collegiate programs in the country definitely is a bit of a statement. Of course, Dinka being the higher seed, maybe expected to take this game, but it's impressive nonetheless. I mean, you take a look all across the map, every player has really contributed to this win, being not one person carrying the game. Sure, Captain Shrimp is 6-0-2, but it looks like everybody is really doing their part here.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, no one has really dropped the ball. I feel like all these players have gotten to flex their muscles in one place or another. And just, let's look at the items here. Dinka himself, 4 items on Gangplank. That is an Infinity Edge in inventory. We've also got 2.5 on Captain Shrimps with a stopwatch to keep him alive. Likewise, Sammy, 2.5 with a stopwatch. 3 on the Senna. And I'm sure the souls are even higher than we last saw. Just an absolutely monumental performance across the board.
It's looking harder and harder for Redbirds to try and come back into this game, facing about an 11,000 gold lead, as Dinka never homeless again, headed towards the last chunk of the Illinois State base down to this bottom inhibitor turret. They just continue to have the push, continue to have the wave clear. In just a little bit, Redbirds are going to have to make a move or the game will end.
Yeah, super minions are starting to hike their way into the base now. We see that mid wave crashing, and we see that top wave crashing. They've got to pull the trigger before triple inhib goes down. Baron in a minute 10. Where's the fight gonna start?
Looks like they're just going to sack this, so that's triple inhibitor. Going over to Dinka, never homeless again, and
Dinka's
they
going
have to
for
be
game.
very, very careful at this point. Dinka continuing to push forward. Duo King barely missing out on that dredge line. Very, very tense situation right now. Redbirds, the tall clock is continuing to tick. They have to find a pick. Something happens before they just get absolutely one-shot. The barrel nearly taking down tempos instantly. Now it's time for Drew Dozer to try to go in. They do get a bit of a stun to the Captain Shrimps. They force the stopwatch out, but GFP has already gone down, and so has Drew Dozer. A double kill for Dinka, and the rest of the kills are coming through. Disconnector and Tempos will watch from their base as their Nexus falls, and Dinka never homeless again. They're going to find a home in the heart of North America. They're going to take down the Nexus and take this first game of the Unified Proving Grounds qualifier.
Dinka never homeless again, a statement game. They were the higher seed, and they're showing why. It was a good team fight from Redbird, but it just wasn't enough. Captain Shrimps with the stopwatch. We just highlighted it, able to keep himself alive. And then the AoE comes back through, and Dinka landing the crit barrel, making the Redbirds do their best G2 impression right there. Just beautiful stuff to see.
Yeah, it seemed, other than that, a little bit of a questionable first blood at the beginning of the game, it was all Dinka from start to finish throughout that entire 30-minute game. Looked like they had firm control, even when, some of the big plays coming through from GSP ended up happening. And at the end of the day, just Dinka coming out with the first win.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, looking at this final fight, just watch for the barrel coming through. He's able to find the combo. Almost one-shots Tempos, gets GFP so low as well, forces them in the fountain, and then the trigger is pulled. Now, Drew Dozer finds a pretty good fear right here, but the stopwatch from Captain Shrimps, the Senna standing behind him, means that they're not able to find the damage. No resets for that Jinx. You have to think, if Nuclear was able to find one, it actually might have been a different story, but unfortunately, again, I feel like that was just gold at work. They didn't quite have the items to find the kills, and Dinka never homeless again. They had the items to make that GP barrel do thousands of damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, it's hard to be considered homeless if you have that much gold in your pockets there. And that was just kind of the story.
Yeah, they could buy themselves a whole mansion with how much they had.
Yeah, exactly. Dinka on that gangplank, of course, doing a whole lot of damage towards the end of that game. And I'm really excited to see how this team progresses moving forward.
Yeah.
Being in the Swiss bracket, they'll be playing against another 1-0 team as we head into round 2. And other than that, I'm just really excited to see them going forward. Just taking a look at some of the numbers here at the post game. 30 minutes and 31 seconds was the final game time. The gold, as we said earlier, just steadily crawling in favor of Dinka. And taking a look at the damage, it was the namesake of this team getting that highest damage crown.
Yeah, Dinka doing big damage here on the gangplank, as they say. But I want to give a lot of credit to ISU too. It felt like they actually played a pretty decent game. I don't think it was anything to be ashamed of. It really just did come down to a lot of those CS numbers, and I think particularly against some of the weaker teams in this bracket with less prolific laners of the likes of Dinka and Captain Shrimps staring them down. If they don't fall quite as far behind in those CS numbers, they actually could have really strong showings because it felt like a lot of their plays were in the right spot. So I'm excited to see this team going forward. But yeah, Dinka, I feel like they answered a lot of the questions that we had coming in. Would they perform to the expectations that have sort of been set out for them? I think, at least so far, that answer is yes, because Redbird was one of the higher seeded teams in the lower half, and they just took care of business.
Yeah, and for Redbird, obviously still not the end of the tournament for them. Obviously, have to continue to play, continue to try and get those wins. Still definitely possibility for them to get into the main stage of this tournament. They're just going to have to start off with that 0-1 record. We're going to take a short break, as that was the end of the first round of this Swiss bracket. When we return, we'll see which matchup we end up taking on, as the rest of the games are still underway. See you in a bit.
Okay, game one. General Sniper's debut over here on the Proving Grounds pod. 1-0-5 for Sniper, who had the counterpick Aatrox, but oh my goodness, Insanity's Corki that game was massive.
Yeah, Insanity was dealing so much damage on this Corki, and it was really big from the get-go as well. He was getting a lot of lane pressure, making sure that they could get the push so that Fan could take a double crab against Hecarim on his Viego to get things started. And while it was pretty quiet in the early game, apart from some sweet jungle moves, they did end up winning a really big fight around the enemy team's blue buff that just blew up the game.
Yeah, it was crazy. I got to give a huge shout out to Fan, because the absolute pressure he had in the beginning of the game was crazy. But General Sniper, if you're watching this, your brother over there got 10 kills. Come on, man, pick it up. That's all I'm saying now.
Okay, game one. General Sniper's debut over here on the Proving Grounds pod. 1-0-5 for Sniper, who had the counter pick Aatrox, but oh my goodness, Insanity's Corki that game was massive.
Yeah, Insanity was dealing so much damage on this Corki, and it was really big from the get-go as well. He was getting a lot of lane pressure, making sure that they could get the push so that Fan could take a double crab against Hecarim on his Viego to get things started. And while it was pretty quiet in the early game, apart from some sweet jungle moves, they did end up winning a really big fight around the enemy team's blue buff that just blew up the game.
Yeah, it was crazy. I got to give a huge shout out to Fan, because the absolute pressure he had in the beginning of the game was crazy. But General Sniper, if you're watching this, your brother over there got 10 kills. Come on, man, pick it up. That's all I'm saying now.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Proving Grounds Open Qualifier presented by Unified. I'm Graves, this is Hawk. We know it's been a bit of a wait, and we'd like to thank you all for staying with us at this time, but we hope the wait was worth it, because we have a very exciting round 2 matchup here in the second round of the Swiss bracket. Radiance versus Supernova, some of the 2 most storied organizations in the semi-professional scene, here to duke it out for that 2-0 record.
Yeah, Graves, I can tell you with certainty that the wait is worth it. Like you said, Radiance against Supernova. What an incredible matchup. 2 storied amateur organizations with very, very new rosters going to be duking it out here on the Rift for our second game of the day. It is certain to be a great one.
Absolutely. Both of these teams won their first round matchup. Radiance against University of Michigan. Supernova taking that victory as well. And they were both pretty one-sided matchups, to say the least. Just taking a look at some of the match histories. Obviously, we were busy casting a game, so we couldn't have watched exactly what was happening. But I want to start with Radiance really quickly, Hawk, because there's an interesting statistic here that I think a lot of the viewers will find really cool. Radiance has the youngest average age out of any lineup that are here in the open qualifiers. I believe it is 17.2 is the average years here. So the average player on Radiance still not even an official adult. And a lot of that is down in their mid-jungle duo here in Bluster, the 16-year-old, and our newcomer here, Crimson, in the mid lane, who a lot of people might not be super familiar with, but has some really cool familial history.
Yeah, Crimson, many of you may know General Sniper, also in this tournament on 100X. He's the twin brother of General Sniper, and of course, that means he's also the brother of Viper. So Crimson is also here, 15 years old, ready to prove himself here in the open qualifier alongside his brother. So very, very exciting stuff. And as you mentioned, this team is crazy young. We've got 15, 16, 17, 18, and 20 years old for these players. I mean, let that sink in. They're all younger than me, right? That's crazy. So these players are here. And the fact that they're all playing together is incredible. And not only that, but the fact that they're performing well.
Yeah, and all of these players in either their first or their second competitive year of experience here. In the top lane, we have TC Porsche, who's currently the top laner of the University of St. Thomas down in the collegiate scene. And down in the bot lane, we got Raheen and Light Pulse, 2 players who did very well for themselves in the amateur circuit. Raheen specifically, the ADC, as a member of Zeus Gaming. You remember that team being full of veterans, players like Alorum, Griffin, and Tuesday. And Raheen was kind of that rookie that had to step in, be that young star in the bottom lane. And what we've heard is that Raheen has really stepped up and been more of a role model, kind of, passing the torch a little bit to some of these younger players, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, I think that's incredible as well. The fact that Raheen has sort of taken all the experience that he was given by the veterans on Zeus, and now the fact that he's been able to at least attempt to translate that to his teammates is absolutely massive. And just another quick little stat for you guys about the story of these organizations as we do get into draft. Radiance and Supernova have played in 3 UPL finals. I mean, that is incredible. They faced off, I should say, in 3 UPL finals against each other. So the fact that they have gone up against each other at that high level of the amateur scene is just absolutely crazy. So these are 2 storied organizations looking to beat each other down. It all starts here with the Game 2 draft.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say that these are 2 of the most storied organizations that we have, period, in the amateur space. I mean, both these teams have been around for so long, have had so many levels of success, and we're going to see both of them with very, very strong lineups here as we have entered the draft for Game 2 here of the Open Qualifier. Like to say, first of all, that I've actually gotten both of the signs right in order on the screen. It's a complete random guess, but so far it's been going good here on the stream. Yasuo start offing the bans here for Supernova. Don't want to get that into the hands of Crimson, who is a very well-known Yasuo and Yone player. Radiance on the other side will ban away Fire Theft Steal.
Yeah, Supernova not letting the young prodigy get his hands on his main, and I can't blame them. You don't want Crimson popping off in this one. That is for sure. And Camille makes a lot of sense as a ban. It's just pretty much the best dueling top laner in the meta. She has been for quite a long time now. The champion is still extremely good. So taking out that one just denies a lot from Fire Theft and will allow Porsche to do what he wants on the top side.
Speaking of Porsche, Gangplank taken off the table here by Supernova, which is a team that we haven't had to have too much time to talk about so far in this segment of this show. But Supernova is a really interesting team here.
Absolutely.
One of the storied organizations here in the amateur circuit, but they actually have gone more towards the collegiate scene in terms of building their roster for this year. Their top jungle and support were all members of Arizona State University in the previous year and are all, that's some of that previous energy that can really work out together. And, worked really well in game one. Excited to see it moving forward as we continue to go on through the draft with that Lulu and potentially a Syndra taken off the board.
Yeah, and not only have these players played together, or some of them played together at Arizona State University, but it's also been said by Supernova's coach that Becco has meshed really well, particularly with Ariandel there in the mid lane. So another 2v2 matchup that could really make some waves here in this tournament. So that will also be something to keep our eyes on. And then, of course, Psycho, honestly, in a similar boat to Raheen, he didn't start as much in PG 2021. However, he still was surrounded by a lot of veterans on that Wildcard Black roster, so perhaps being able to bring a bit of experience to these newcomers as well will provide a good boon. And speaking of the mid-jungle 2v2, taking out LeBlanc, insanely strong skirmish champion, not letting Ariandel get his hands on that.
Yeah, taking away LeBlanc from Ariandel, definitely a very, very valuable thing. Rise still on the table for the Supernova mid laner as we are headed into the pick phase of this draft. Caitlyn is being hovered and will likely be that first pick here for Supernova. So getting Psycho in to a very, very strong lane matchup, going to have a whole lot of range advantage, maybe paired along something else that's ranged. It's just kind of a trend that we've been seeing recently throughout the first games here at the Okies.
Yeah, the bot lane meta is very interesting in this tournament. Didn't get a huge chance to talk about it in our first game because it wasn't quite as much the focus, but with the Caitlyn getting locked in, definitely something I want to focus on with that. Caitlyn is an exceptionally strong laning ADC, and it allows you to play almost any support with her and still dominate the lane. And not only that, but you can play both Enchanter supports, as you just mentioned, as well as tank supports effectively in the current meta. So it creates like an interesting interaction where some teams want to go for tank supports, some teams want to go for Enchanters, some teams can do both, but it depends on the composition of what you're trying to do. So seeing how the meta sort of evolves in the bottom lane over this tournament, I think will be very exciting. Now, the Jhin locked in is very good at neutralizing the Caitlyn. It provides excellent utility for the team and doesn't care too much if it gets pushed in, so I think this makes a lot of sense, paired alongside the Lee Sin for Bluster.
Yep, Bluster gonna get his hands on a very, very aggressive jungle pick, which has kind of been the playstyle that him and Crimson have been going for in this mid-jungle 2v2. Bluster, formerly of Evil Genius's Prodigies, taking his skills from the LCS affiliate now on to Radiance. On the other side, Supernova are going to lock in that Jhin Zhao to try and match up against Lee Sin. We saw Jhin Zhao be very impactful in our first game of the day on this side I think it was, who was the player that we did in the last game? It's been so long, Hawk. I don't even remember. Jesus.
Oh, man. No, it was Sammy that had the Jhin Zhao in the last game. Yeah, you had an hour-long break. Don't beat yourself up too hard. But, I mean, it makes a lot of sense as a pick, too. Jhin Zhao, another strong early-game jungler, can make a lot of plays, and it does well in most matchups, including the Lee Sin. We've seen a lot of high Jhin Zhao priority, and it's good at enabling all three lanes for teams. But speaking of Enchanter supports, there's the Karma coming through, as well as the Lux actually being a potential flex pick. It could go both mid or support in the current meta. It's an exceptionally strong laning support, and it's a pretty uninteractive mid laner if you're just looking for something to push and roam. So I feel like that pick could make a lot of sense in both places and gets a lot of draft tempo for the Supernova lineup.
Yeah, and if the Lux is going down towards the bottom lane, it would be a very, very high range 2v2 that Psycho and Pseudo have set up for themselves. Jhin, of course, a little bit more lower range alongside Light Pulse on the Karma, so would probably see a lot of heavy bottom lane priority for the side of Supernova, which is a thing that can happen a lot more often, especially with some of the recent teleport changes that have gone through. We're headed into the second phase of the bans. It looks like some more focus to the mid lane here for Radiance as that Galio for Ariandel taken off the table.
Yeah, lots of focus here on Ariandel. I mean, being one of the two people that hasn't picked, it does make a lot of sense. It seems like Radiance is going to try to deny champions that can enable Becco here on the Jhin Zhao. You don't want them to dive bottom, as you just said, with a super strong Caitlyn and potentially Lux. With the Galio and his Jhin Zhao too, that sudden becomes extremely scary because, as you mentioned, while Jhin is a decent laner, he's not going to have the same pushing power as his Caitlyn. He will get pushed in, he will get poked out, and he is at threat of getting dove alongside this Karma. So denying champions that can do that is effective. Likewise, Corki can go bottom side, very good at dragon fights with the package, and as mentioned in the previous game as well, super uninteractive laning phase, very good at scaling up and being a huge team fight threat.
On the other side, though, it looks like some more focus towards the solo lanes against Radiance. That Wukong for Porsche taken off the table, as well as that flex pick in the Aurelia, another melee AD mid laner that Crimson can definitely pop off on. We head into the second phase of the picks. Both teams have to select, I believe, their solo laners, unless that Lux is going into mid lane.
Yeah, with the Rise lock-in, I would expect the Lux to still go down to the bottom lane to support. I mean, clearly Radiance thinks the Lux is going down to support with the mid lane bans. However, it is still, again, it's a viable flex. It just depends on really what your composition wants to do. However, Lux, extremely strong lane with the Caitlyn, so it would be expected. Now, Supernova, it will be their response, as well as a blind pick Mundo. Super, super safe blind pick in the current meta. It's got good pushing power. It's incredibly hard to take down. Unless you're going to play something crazy, it's probably just going to be a handshake lane here for Porsche.
Yep, Porsche typically it's not super unfamiliar with playing weak side. Back on the University of St. Thomas, definitely did a whole lot of that alongside of that bot lane of Array and Trevor. And so maybe we'll see some more of that against this Mundo. We're seeing a Twisted Fate locked in here for Ariandel, though. We're talking about champions that he can really impact all across the map. This is definitely one of them. Trying to match up against Crimson's Rise will definitely be crucial. It's in all the sorts of the side lanes.
Yeah, Ariandel has a pretty nice Twisted Fate too, so I'm really excited to see this one come out. I mean, Supernova, they have a very clearly defined composition. They want to Caitlyn ahead, they want to take towers, they want to take tower plates, they want to take dragons, and their composition is well built to do that. As mentioned, it's exceptionally difficult to attack a Dr. Mundo on the top side, even with the Gwen doing true damage and potentially taking Ignite in the matchup. So I'm really looking at what Bluster can get done for Radiance in this early game in his isolated matchup. If he's able to attack this Xin Zhao, that might be somewhere where we're able to find a lead if you are Radiance, right? But your bot lane's probably going to get pushed in. Your mid matchup is not the most favorable. It's pretty much a handshake matchup. Rise isn't going to 1v9 the game, and Mundo, as we said, so hard to take down.
Yeah, definitely so. And on the other side for Radiance here, it's going to be Porsche locking in that Gwen. Going to be a pretty safe and pretty decent matchup here into that Dr. Mundo over on Fire Theft side. So probably not expecting too much, super hard engage here as we get the nice little transition into just us on the screen here. But just very excited for this game overall. Once again, Hawk, just two very storied organizations going at it here. And there's just still so much more League of Legends to play. And seeing these two teams already facing off in round 2 is very, very exciting.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. These organizations, as we've said a bunch of times now, I have so much history to them, and getting to see them play each other now in the 2022 Spring Proving Ground Open Qualifier here on Unified Live is just an absolute pleasure. But I do want to talk a little bit more about what we can expect out of Radiance's composition. I feel like we talked a lot about what Supernova wants to do, but one big thing that I feel like Supernova needs to be careful of, and Radiance could potentially look to exploit, is the fact that if their bot lane does not fall too far behind, if Raheen and Light Pulse are able to, if they're able to sort of survive this lane, get out of even this Karma, this Lee Sin, this Gwen, the Rise running at you in the mid to late game could be absolutely terrifying for the side of Supernova, especially when they have a composition that's not actually particularly good at starting their own plays. I mean, you're looking at Xin Zhao to hard engage, a Twisted Fate ultimate, which is great when all three lanes are being played on, but as you move towards those 5v5s, it's a little bit less effective.
Yeah, and you're talking about that mid lane just a little bit in terms of the ability to roam here. I want to talk about Crimson really quickly here. Once again, that mid laner for Radiance, the younger brother of Viper, the twin of General Sniper, on the rise, which is something that we haven't seen too much out of him. In terms, when you look at his solo queue account, you see a lot of champions like the Yasuo and the Yone, but I think something that Crimson has really been trying to improve on before he really gets into competitive play was his ability to kind of play more of these control mages, be able to impact the map a lot more, and I think having him on this rise will be a really good test to see how he's able to function on this. Saw him on the Syndra in the last game, and he did pretty damn well on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we all love the edgy brothers, Yasuo and Yone, to play them in solo queue, right? And Crimson clearly does too. And it's very, very good on them, obviously. But if you want to be a competitive player, you've got to show that you can play multiple styles. And Crimson is doing just that here But we are on the Rift. It is Supernova on the blue side up against Radiance on the red.
Game 2 here of the Unified Proving Grounds Open Qualifier. Both these teams are sitting at 1-0. Looking to stay undefeated as we wrap up day 1 of the OQs. We're seeing another 5-stack bot lane, Hawk. I know it's been a while since we got into game, but remember, we saw some crazy action happen in that last one with those 5 stacks.
Yeah, we did. We saw first blood go down in the last game. I know that was ancient history compared about 2 hours ago now, but yeah, we saw the first blood go down. Fortunately for the side of Supernova, Radiance did not decide to counter it. They just went for the standard 5-point. However, what this will probably mean is that Supernova might have early bot lane priority due to that extra ward getting put down. So nice potential advantage for them. However, not really too much going to come of it at the end of the day.
Definitely. See a nice little ward there placed by Crimson as both the junglers are looking to probably start around their top sides. Important to note, just before we head into game, Winter we'll be referring to as Bluster, the jungler over on Radiance's side. Has a bit of a name change as we are on the live client, but uh-oh, Psycho might actually be in a bit of trouble here. Before the lane even begins, Raheen is trying to block Psycho's path to escape, and that is first blood going over to the Radiance bottom laner.
Yeah, huge first blood. We were talking about Raheen potentially being a big catalyst for this team, and now being able to pick up a level 1 first blood. Not only do you get the kill, but Psycho is going to miss out big time here. That is absolutely massive for the team here on the red side in Radiance.
Absolutely, and Pseudo is not really going to be able to do too much here, as Raheen will get a free reset off after that first wave ends up crafting. Actually, going to end up staying, not wanting to really give up some of the lane pressure that they've already established for themselves in that 2v2, as yeah, they're just going to try to continue their dominance in that regard. Junglers will be starting on opposite sides of the maps, with Bako going towards the bottom side, Radiance on Bluster going towards the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Mismatched jungle pathing here for the side of these teams does mean that there is potential to make a play. No major summoners were blown on the bot side. Psycho actually even held on to the heal down there on the due to the ignite thrown down on the light poles. Felt like he couldn't get out. I actually almost wonder if that might have been enough to turn around a kill on Raheen, but either way, it does look like we might see a gank coming in here on the mid lane towards Ariendo. Flash!
Oh, they're flashing forward. There's Bluster coming through with a Sonic Wave, the flash, the follow, and Bluster and Crimson, that very, very young mid-jungle duo, picking up an early 2v2, showing what they got.
Yeah, absolutely massive. That's what you want to get ahead. We talked about some of these mid-jungle 2v2 synergies, and Crimson and Bluster, the young players on the side of Radiance, they pick up another one, and it's a 1,000 gold lead at just 3 minutes.
And this is getting out of control pretty quickly, Hawk. We gotta tell Supernova to slow it down just a little bit. We want to cast a very, you know, more even game of League of Legends here, but right now it's just all been Radiance, and right now, again, that mid-jungle duo of Crimson and Bluster really doing the work.
Yeah, it's just flawless execution on the gank. I mean, the wave is bouncing away from Ariandel after the early push from Crimson, and then Flash Root, easy kill. Just beautifully done. Flash does not matter for Ariandel. And getting this Lee Sin ahead could be absolutely massive. I mentioned how, you know, I wanted to see where Bluster would be able to attack early game on this Lee Sin. I said directly at the Xin Zhao, but mid lane works too. I mean, you've got to rise. That is a targeted route. Easy follow-up for the Xin Zhao and this vulnerable Twisted Fate, and an easy pickup on the kill.
Absolutely. Psycho and Pseudo trying their best to get back into this lane. Remember, this is still that Caitlyn, the Lux, that can really do a whole lot in terms of poking out. So even though Raheen did get that first blood, remember, he has not taken a reset yet, and Psycho and Pseudo have gotten the better of the early push. But
again
with the reset coming through, Raheen does have those swiftness
goes
boosts,
here.
Got to take a look towards the mid lane. Looks like Bluster wants to fight, but here comes Bako as well, doing a whole lot of damage on the Crimson. Actually going to flash forward when it becomes lightning. The wild cards from Ariandel will take down the Radiance mid laner, as Bluster will just have to watch.
Really clean counter gank right here comes through from Beko, able to turn around a kill for his mid laner, and this definitely will go a long way in stabilizing the game. Ariandel's wave was in a very poor position, pushed up there in the mid lane, so Beko comes over, makes the counter gank happen. There's just not enough tankiness on Crimson without the flash available, not enough peel from Bluster on the Lee Sin, and that is a trade kill going back over, and actually a farm advantage as well for Ariandel. Puts him ahead in the one-on-one matchup, because remember, it was the Lee Sin that picked up the kill for the side of Radiance.
Yeah, take a look at that, Hawk. Right after that kill, gold right back into Supernova's favor. So it was looking a bit dicey here for them. Whoa, okay.
What? Hey, all right. There's another
I mean,
one.
lightning strikes twice, I guess. That's Crimson and Bluster going again from the mid lane.
Yep, I'm going to assume that that was a targeted route into Dead Rise. I'm sure we might get to see that one again, but, you know, you're talking about how the gold swung back into Supernova's favor. Not back there anymore. However, the farm in bot lane, as well as that brief farm advantage in mid lane that I had just mentioned, were most likely contributing to that. But most of all, the gold is still pretty even despite the kills, as we will get to see this one again. It is the interrupt onto Bluster, and is he just going to walk up and root him? Oh,
Let's see.
they're farming his tents.
That's
yeah,
it.
the walk up and root technology comes through, and Ariandel gets taken down right there. As we might see a dive on the bot
Crimson
side.
and Bluster, yeah, they're continuing to go for plays. It looks like every single time we come back into the client, it is Radiance looking to make the moves. There's Pseudo going very, very dangerously low, and he will end up falling. Fire Theft is here with the teleport to try and re-engage. Ariandel will pick the kill onto Bluster, and now the rest of Radiance has to try and run for the hills. Light Pulse has to flash away. It doesn't look like any follow-up will be there just yet, but Fire Theft gonna flash forward with the Cleaver, trying to get in onto Crimson, and it looks like they will be able to do so as Ariandel picks up kill number 3 for himself.
It's the full commitment on the bottom side for both teams, but importantly, Porsche decides not to expend the teleport. Meanwhile, Fire Theft with the not even unleashed TP, able to go to the tower. Psycho gonna
one more? There he goes. Raheen once again picking up kill number 2. But Hawk, as you were saying, that's the teleport advantage coming through with the new patch. Porsche had no way to get in there. It was just Fire Theft there to defend and Fire Theft there to pick up the win there for Supernova.
Yeah, with the new teleport changes, Porsche would have had to TP to his own turret, which is so far away from that fight. Meanwhile, Fire Theft could go right into the middle of the fight and help clean up the kill. Really nice flash cleaver, recognizing that Rise was still level 5, and Ariandel with the Twisted Fate ultimate to support means that there's a numbers advantage and a kill advantage. Ultimately, the trade back on a Psycho makes it a 2-for-2. However, a good punch back from Supernova to keep this game close, as the gold is about 1,000 in favor of Radiance at 7.5.
We take a look at some of the farm advantages here. Porsche with taking advantage of that teleport that Fire Theft ended up using, now finding himself up about 20 CS. On the down towards the bottom side, pretty even, and in the mid lane, just slightly favored towards Ariandel. But when it's all said is done, still Radiance, basically with just the kills being the difference here in the gold. So still a very, very close game. That Dragon still hasn't been taken yet, as we see Bako making his way down towards the bottom side of the map. There's just still a whole lot more game to play here in this game, round 2.
Yeah, a lot more to play. Bluster has snuck onto a control ward. There is bot lane priority currently for the side of Supernova, so a play could get turned around should it happen. Maybe just posturing for a counter gank, but no, it seems like everyone's just going to walk away, and a Dragon will be taking down. This does get priority on the top side of the map for a Rift Herald or a dive on top should they choose to take it. Realm Warp is available, and Porsche has the Ignite to cut some of that healing. We'll have to see. Nope, it looks like it's just going to be the Herald play, which is still ultimately a trade of neutral objectives between the two teams.
Yeah, I was really hoping that Crimson and Bluster would have gone for that dive in the top side. Might not have been the smartest idea, but with the amount of
good respect from Fire Theft to back off there.
Yeah, I mean I was really expecting it, but we're not going to see that just yet. Just will be the Rift Herald picked up before Bluster.
Here we go.
Top side. Supernova though making a bit of a play down towards bottom lane. They see that really juicy bounty on Raheen's head, and looks like Supernova want to try to go for a potential dive. Radiance has kind of sniffed it out a little bit, but Light Pulse is still in a whole lot of trouble. Ariandel again, just picking up every single kill here for Supernova on this Twisted Fate.
Yeah, beautiful commit right there again from Supernova. Remember, Radiance was just behind on the play, with the Dragon was already gone by the time they started Herald, so that they were able to still have priority on the bot side. We will see a dive top.
Here we go. Yep, and that is just all too easy over for Radiance. So farewell to Fire Theft, and another kill going over to Radiance as the Rift Herald will go down as well. Taking a look at this replay though, very aggressive dive here by Supernova, going for the aggressive plays.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a beautiful flash commit. Twisted Fate ultimate coming out on top, able to take down the support with no flash right there. Turret did go down on the top side with that Herald. Shelly able to knock off the last 2 plates and even get a cheeky little charge on the top side. So gold actually probably favoring Radiance in this play. However, another kill into Ariandel, 4-2-0. Maybe a Twisted Fate, not exactly where you want your kills, but it doesn't feel too bad when he's the one likely to be in every single fight, as well as getting that Dragon stacking going means that Supernova is still feeling all right about the current game state.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, the kills, you know, maybe they'd be in the better hands of someone like Psycho, but Ariandel still definitely a very, very strong carry player. Even on champions like this Twisted Fate is just so good at, you know, getting all around the map and making his impact known. And getting these kills definitely not the worst thing for him. Getting that 100% kill rate right there is not something you see every day, but as we head into the later mid-game stages of this game too, still Radiance with about a 1,500 gold lead, as they're just looking to
Raheen.
maybe
He has
push
Cleanse
here.
Flash.
Raheen could be in a bit of trouble here.
Nice check. Yeah, nice check right there from Raheen with the Lotus Trap, able to get out without using any of those summoners. But, you know, 100% kill participation on Twisted Fate here for Ariandel. Maybe not what you're always expecting, but it definitely feels pretty damn good to see your rookie Twisted Fate getting involved in these plays and keeping the team up with a team of the caliber of Radiance. I mean, we've been talking about how these are really young players, but they're very good players. They are some solo queue gods, for lack of a better term. They play so well in solo queue. They're mechanically incredible, and it seems like they've got pretty good macro too. As it's going to be a fight.
Ring the alarms. We got a party down here in the bottom lane. Baco already having to pop that ultimate, but the snipe from Pseudo will secure the first kill over onto Light Pulse. Bluster will get one back onto Baco as a trade, just a 1-for-1, but it could have been a whole lot more.
Yeah, Party Rock is in the bot lane tonight as we do see junglers clash in the blue side jungle of Radiance. Ultimately is a 1-for-1. No harm, no foul right there. Support traded for jungler. Just a kill for a kill, not too much else. However, bot lane priority again, still staying in favor of Nova. And this bot lane turret is so low. Remember, no Herald to help this one. They might just take it down.
Watch Bluster, though. He's here to try and go for the flank. Psycho is just running straight into the curtain call as Raheen now has to be a little bit careful as Ariandel has come through with the Destiny. One more auto from Psycho will do, as Ariandel is the one who lands the final blow onto the bot laner here for Radiance. Now Bluster is the one who has to try and get away. Ariandel lands the gold card, lands the Q, and gets another kill. But here comes Crimson. He has a lot of damage with the Spell Flux, but he gets stunned up and taken down. Psycho with the double kill, and the health bars are so low on Supernova, but they end up on top, going 4-for-0.
Psycho living up to his name, 4-for-0 in the bottom lane. Everybody wants to party around the dead turret, but it's Psycho flashing in on the Jhin even as he gets taken low. And you know what's so important is there's no rise for so long in this fight. Meanwhile, the Twisted Fate is able to come right into the middle of it. Psycho with the lethal tempo stacked up just has too much damage. And I said when Crimson arrived, he might be able to clean this, but the roots were beautiful from the Lux. The damage comes through. Psycho manages to survive. Absolutely incredible fight, and just like that, the gold is in favor of Supernova by 1,500. This is a back and forth bloodbath at 13.
Look at that look at that jump right there. Like, you might have been in a trampoline or something with all of that gold going over in favor of Supernova, and they're gonna get even more on the map with this Mountain Dragon secured. They're now in a very good position to try and snowball a potential soul on the horizon in the future moments of this game. Will be that Ocean, so a lot of extra sustain will be very, very valuable, especially towards that top side.
Do you know when you were on a trampoline as a kid and you'd get like the super bounce where you go like really high from your friend?
Don't even get me started on the super bounce.
Supernova just got the super bounce, Grapes. Super bounce. They just went from 1.5 in the hole to 1.5 ahead. They're able to pick up their second dragon too, and now this Caitlyn unlocked on the map is going to come mid and start working on these tower plates that are just now falling. However, getting these towers down is exactly what this composition wants to do. So yeah, super bounce Caitlyn feels pretty damn good for Supernova right now.
Looks like they're going to continue to try and rein in onto the mid turret, but looks like Radiance has something to say about it. Look at Bluster, just going to get the kick onto Baco, but here comes Porsche with the needlework, going to get stunned up for a long time though. Can he get the scissors to continue to snap? One almost able to take him down, but they will trade 1-for-1 as Porsche falls as well as Baco. Just going to be that singular trade for the moment. Fire Theft has joined the fight down into the mid lane. Doesn't look like either side wants to go too aggressive with a lot of major cooldowns down.
Whew. Yeah, Porsche did a lot of damage right there with the needlework. We haven't really talked too much about the Gwen. Other than the Rift Herald play, there's been very little focus paid to the top side of the map, but he's got a lot of farm and a Rift Maker completed, and that needlework did a lot. Unfortunately, Gwen was no longer immune, so it was a 1-for-1. And Supernova manages to stabilize. However, summoners were blown on both teams, and it is Radiance that is first to position around this Rift Herald.
looks like they're going to make their way over to it. Bluster and Light Pulse just trying to maybe do a two-man wrecking crew onto it, but looks like actually Shelly will get to live to see a little bit longer of a day, but now with the rest of Supernova around here, Fire Thefts might be the one to start it up instead. It's a whole lot of trading back and forth, but looks like Rift Herald will be going over to Supernova. I can definitively say that at this point.
Yeah, definitely. It was just simply came down to a faster reset. Ryze went top, no teleport available, and Realm Warp, unfortunately, is not global for the Ryze, and it doesn't even quite have the range of this Twisted Fate. Crimson will be able to pick up some farm here in the side lane, but with Ariandel on the way down, you'd have to think that not too much more will be taken, and Supernova just doing a beautiful job controlling the map. And we've mentioned you want your Caitlyn working on turrets, and now with the Rift Herald to do so as well, you can just transition your pressure around the map and easily start to take these ones down. And once all 3 outers are down, you've got 2 dragons, and it becomes so difficult for Radiance to face check into the river up against a comp with Caitlyn. Lux, they can one-shot you from so far away. Twisted Fate even. So much pick potential. So right now, this Caitlyn composition built around Psycho and this bot lane here for Supernova is being executed nearly flawlessly by Supernova despite the rough early game.
We've entered a bit of an interesting point in the game here, Hawk. I think when you think about Radiance, you think about Bluster and you think about Crimson making these really proactive plays around the map going to different lanes. But now if we enter the mid game and Radiance isn't super far ahead, in fact, they're just a little bit behind, it'll be interesting to see if Crimson and Bluster can make some of these different moves with not as much of a formulaic approach.
Whoa,
We're going to see right here, Bluster with the kick in onto Psycho, nearly answering my prayers as we speak. It will be a trade onto Raheen in return, but here come the teleports, and the fight is still going down.
Porsche is doing so much damage.
Onto Bako as well, but Fire Theft is healing up, still providing so much frontline. Ariandel and Pseudo are basically untouched as Pseudo hits that root in onto the Gwen, almost taking him down, and it will be the final kill going over. Fire Theft with the Ignite ticking will survive, and Pseudo is continuing to chase in onto Light Pulse, who will get away. Supernova once again coming out with a very, very, very slight edge in that fight.
Bluster may have found the highlight reel kick onto Psycho, but guess what? It's not just the Caitlyn that's fed. They managed to take him down, but Ariandel, Beko, Fire Theft, and even Pseudo are doing the damage on top. They manage to win the fight in the end. What an incredible team fight. Both these teams going blow for blow here in this game. And guess what? We're not done. Dragon at 45 seconds. Both teams coming off a reset. Porsche teleport is coming up now. There are no flank wards, however. It's going to be a tense fight.
Remember when he said that this was going to be a game that was worth the wait, Hawk?
Yeah.
I think so far it is absolutely delivered. 23 kills in 18 minutes. Such a close game right now between Supernova and Radiance. Gold now slowly going in favor of Supernova as they are now gathering priority around the Dragon Pit. Remember, Supernova picked up the first 2 drakes of the game as well. Will be that sole point if they end up getting this one.
Yeah, would be absolutely massive for their composition as...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow, indeed. There's the pick potential. Right
One
there.
gold card.
Yeah.
And that's a dead karma on the screen here as Light Pulse goes down. Looks like Dragon isn't even going to be focused up here for Supernova just yet, as they know that they have the time now in the 4v5. Instead, it'll be Radiance maybe even trying to rotate over to the top side of the map to try to get something in return. But it's actually, yeah, now Supernova pushing down mid. Very interesting kind of chain of events that have unlocked here, Hawk.
Yeah, I mean, Supernova has the Rift Herald, remember. They didn't actually have to use it to take down the mid tower. They just brute forced it with this Caitlyn, so this is almost certain to drop, and it's just so hard to face check up against Supernova's composition, especially when not only are you against the Caitlyn, Lux, and Twisted Fate, but you don't have any tanks on your comp. I mean, your team excels at controlling space and staying alive once the fight has started, but before then, each of your individual members is exceptionally vulnerable if they do catch some CC, so as we mentioned, Soul Point, Ocean Soul Point, to keep replenishing those resources throughout a potential siege later into the game just becomes so deadly.
Ariandel.
Is Ariandel getting a little spicy in the mid lane, but not going to go for anything?
He hovers the gold card and he has flash. You have to always just keep an eye on Ariandel. Any minute, somebody else on Radiance could be dead, as he has just been an absolute menace in this game so far. 6-2-7, 12 stacks on the Medjais. This mid laner here for Supernova going up against this Prodigy in Crimson. Definitely doing a whole lot of work.
Yeah, and as the game slows down, another player that I want to talk about, we said his name a lot this game, but Bluster really putting on a nice mechanical performance in this one. 4-3-4 on the Lee Sin. He's been in most of the plays for his team, and I feel like has been a big part of the reason why his team is still actually in this game. We saw the highlight reel kick there on a Psycho, and even though the fight didn't really go their way, I mean, you would love to see that out of a young player in their second Proving Grounds game, first one on stream, being willing to go for the big plays like that is absolutely incredible to see. And, you know, even if it doesn't work out right, just to see that confidence, I feel like that's one of those things that teams want to see out of their young players.
Now, Hawk, it looks like we've kind of finally entered a bit of a lull state here in this game. Got Dragon spawning in about 3.5 minutes. Baron is up, but no team is really in the big position to take it. But for right now, looking at Radiance, they're now down about 4,000 gold. I mean, in these next 3.5 minutes before this Dragon spawns, what is going to happen?
Yeah. Well, as the game slows down, we're actually going to have a nice cinematic replay right here of the kick. You can see Bluster puts the ward over the wall, dash. Oh, no, it's this resonating strike, dash, flash, kick into Psycho. Beautiful stuff right there. And they're ultimately able to take him down despite not winning the fight, but just absolutely beautiful stuff right there. Incredible play coming through from the jungler. An incredible team fight from Supernova to win it without their ADC, as the Baron dance has started, and both teams just seem to be posturing around it.
Oh, and it looks like Supernova has already pulled the trigger. Crimson is so low, nearly taken down. Is going to get pushed away before he ends up falling. But Ariandel is still hungry, still looking for more blood onto Supernova.
They're still going for it.
He's going to get stunned up, but here comes Bluster taking down Ariandel before getting traded back. Porsche is doing a whole lot of damage here with the needlework, as Crimson has the teleport and is going for the reset. Look at Porsche, though, looking for all of the kills with all of the scissors, picking up a double kill as Pseudo goes down as well. Crimson coming forward with the teleport, getting the return fight over for Radiance, who are now strong in the 4v2.
Yeah, Supernova fumbling the bag a little bit here in the mid lane. Actually, the Crescent Guard ultimate from Becco actually knocking Crimson over the wall and keeping him alive on 1 HP. And then we mentioned, remember, the strength of this composition with the Caitlyn for Supernova is forcing the enemy to face check, but hold that thought, it might not be done.
Raheen is frontlining for his team right now as he's chasing down Fire Theft and Psycho. Teleport coming in, I believe it's from Ariandel to ward off the rest of Radiance, as they will get out without taking down the Baron. But that was a very, very big turn of events. It looked like Supernova were starting to run away with it, Hawk, but right now, we're right back to even.
Yeah, fortunately for Supernova, they prevent a Baron, so it's just kills and pressure going the way of Radiance, but no massive advantage being taken away from them, so it's not quite a throw. But yeah, as I was saying, the strength of this Caitlyn comp is that you could force Radiance to face check into you and then blow people up. But when they're actually set up in the mid lane like that, you've already committed onto the Ryze and he survived. Once the Gwen's able to get going with the Karma and the Jhin and the Lee Sin running you down, that's where this Radiance composition really excels. So big props to Radiance for being able to execute in that fight even when behind and find a good play for themselves, buy themselves time in this game with Soul coming up in a minute.
Yeah, and right now it is Radiance who has that inner positioning. Porsche did get chunked out pretty low, but does have that Riftmaker for a lot of healing potential.
Mission.
Look at Fire Theft, though. Looking for a potential flank if the rest of Radiance have to back out. Porsche very, very, very far forward, as the Dragon is about to spawn in 40 seconds. Remember, this is Soul for Supernova. Radiance have to go. Yeah,
but look at those Caitlyn traps, and those Cleavers doing so much damage from Fire Theft. Ariandel is on the side with the gold, looking, waiting for a target route onto 2. Not going to amount to much, but look at this. Super have pressure on the mid wave. That's huge.
It is so tense right now. Radiance just need to get this Dragon down. But look at Porsche! He dashes forward and gets instantly one-shot by Ariandel. Big shutdown going in onto the Gwen, and that is the primary damage dealer at the moment for Radiance. Already down. There's no curtain call available for Raheen for any sort of steal. And with that, in the 5v4 situation, Supernova are going to try and get this Soul.
Yeah, I don't know if Porsche didn't have W or if it was on cooldown, or if he just didn't see the gold card coming or what. Might have to see that one again, but not using that one right there. Gets caught up by the Twist of Fate and just one-shot by the rest of Supernova. And yeah, the fight's just over at that point, as you said. Porsche's been doing the majority of the damage in these team fights. The Ryze only on 2 items isn't quite enough. We did see as well, again, Supernova is just making it impossible for Radiant to face check into them. And once Radiant It's got into the river. Well, Supernova said, sure, we'll just play on the mid wave instead and still force you into a bad fight. So just really beautiful positioning from Supernova this game. Outside of that one blunder in mid lane, I feel like they've been playing exceptionally well since, 8 minutes into the game.
Every time you see Ariandel walking up with the gold card, in my head, I'm hearing like the Jaws.
Yeah.
You saw the gold card onto Porsche, who's a champion that has a lot of healing potential and a lot of sustainability in their kit. Just got instantly taken down due to the stun that was available onto that Twisted Fate. So all eyes have to continue to be on Ariandel here, who has had an absolutely stellar performance here in this second game of the Open Qualifier, hoping to try and turn this performance into a win.
Yeah, he's actually had it for a while, but I want to point this out. Ariandel has a Medgice. Now, he died, so it's only 8 stacks. However, he has a Medgice, so you'll love to see it, as well as a Rapid Fire Cannon for those long-range gold cards, which might have been what tripped up Porsche potentially in that dragon fight. And he's even got the Summoner Spellbook Smite, just to be a good team player, help secure this objective. So Ariandel, he can do it all. The Swiss Army knife of League of Legends is on the Rift right now in this Twisted Fate. But yeah, as you said, just an incredible performance coming through from him. I feel like both these teams really have been firing on all cylinders. There's been some misplays, but also a lot of great outplays. And as we've said, a lot of rookies in this game, that's what you want to see. You want to see them be willing to go for the big plays.
Yeah, I mean, if some mistakes happen at this level, not the biggest concern. And you want to just see the spots of potential, especially this early in a season with rosters that haven't been scrimming together for very, very long. And it's so far, we've seen a lot of really impressive stuff. The macro coming out of Radiance in the mid-jungle 2v2 early on, as well as Ariandel's just ability to roam all of the map have just been absolutely valuable, incredibly valuable.
I don't really know what Crimson's going for here, because I'm going to be honest, I don't think you kill this Dr. Mundo with a Ryze and a Gwen. He's just going to immune the CC and walk out, but no, they are going.
Let's see. Looks like they're going to try to limit test this. Porsche's already taken up the tower. The Needlework is coming through. Fire Theft is healing up a lot. Will he get a trade onto Porsche before he dies? The answer is yes, as looks like Porsche kind of knew he was dead. Ended up just taking the 1-for-1 to try and get that tower down as fast as possible. But yeah, Crimson goes for the roam. Ends up sort of working out, but now take the Supernova. They're headed towards the Baron.
Light Pulse died. I missed that entirely. Light Pulse got taken down in the mid lane, so Supernova actually has a 4v3 on the map, and Fire Theft has teleport when he respawns. Crimson's bot lane has the teleport as well. Curtain will be called.
They don't take it super fast right now, but it's about 5,000 HP on the Baron. Looks like Bluster is in the area. They don't take it super fast, but it is only still a 2v4 with Crimson pushing it down on the bottom side. Can Bluster get some sort of steal? The answer is no, as the double smite for Supernova ends up coming through. Bluster does manage to get out with his life. Looks like Crimson just decided to go for the split push, taking it down that inner turret instead.
Yeah, really nicely done from Supernova. They're just able to threaten the Baron. No steal comes through. Nice objective bounty for Crimson, but we will get to see the pick onto Light Pulse, just maybe flying a little too close to the sun. Twisted Fate. Oh, ult over the wall. With the true sight means that there's no fog of war. Able to catch him with the gold card. Kick is not enough. The Karma was already dead. Beautifully done right there from the side of Supernova. And again, the pick potential onto the Karma. We saw it around the third dragon. We now see it at Baron, and Supernova is dominating in the neutral objectives.
Poor Light Pulse, man. I feel like that's like the third or fourth time he just has not been able to play the video game. He's getting instantly one-shot from like seemingly like a mile away with Pseudo, with Ariandel, with Psycho, all coming through. And it's just
what makes
hard being a support, man.
What makes it even worse now is he doesn't have flash. So next time Twisted Fate ultimate is back up, I have a feeling I know who they're going to go for. So yeah, poor Light Pulse indeed. It's hard because it wasn't even like he was that out of position, but it was just a tough situation all around. And when you're up against Twisted Fate, everywhere is out of position. So he does get taken down when his team is committing 2v1 on the bottom side.
Look at this.
Yeah, here we go.
Here comes Bluster and Crimson coming forward. Ariandel forced to flash away, but look at the final spark coming out from Pseudo. Raheen is so low. TP coming in from Fire Theft. Might have been a little bit over ambitious, but watch the rest of the team. Destiny has been popped. No gate coming through for Ariandel. Fire Theft is continuing to look to just try and distract the rest of Radiant.
He's just buying time for his team. They're pushing.
Psycho and Pseudo are pushing down in the bottom lane. Fire Theft will be the sacrificial Mundo, but the inhibitor turrets have been cracked open, and the base of Radiance is now under threat. Psycho, Ariandel, and Pseudo are going to try and finish it right here, right now. Raheen has the curtain call pop. Nexus Tower number 1 is down. Porsche already chunked to about 40% HP. Curtain call will be enough to distract the rest of Radiance and get them away But that was a very, very scary situation.
Yeah, and a costly situation. Not only do you lose an inhibitor, not only do you lose the Nexus turret, but that's both of your teleports now down. Granted, Fire Thefts is also down from the previous play around the Baron, but that is a massive win here for Supernova, just goading Radiance into trying to take a fight, and they do so successfully. That Mundo just so hard to take down. One sacrificial madman is a small price to pay for a ticket into the enemy base, potentially, as this game eclipses 30 minutes. Arian Dell, the gold card damage is just immense.
Does that one here onto Raheen. Look at the amount of poke damage that is able to come through from Psycho, but take a look at the other side. Pseudo is forced to flash away already as Porsche has popped the needlework onto Fire Theft.
Becco's getting low.
Is trying to take a whole lot of damage, but look at Porsche. Gets taken down by Pseudo, and now Fire Theft is looking to chase. Raheen has to Gale Force away from the final spark. Not going to get away from the damage, but will get away from the rest of the team. Supernova getting this advantage, and at a very, very crucial time, that Elder Dragon is just about to spawn and is getting ready to be taken down.
Yeah, and you'd have to think with this one, they might be able to end the game. Supernova, they've earned another neutral objective off of another one team fight. Only 5,000, well now 6,000 gold in the lead with the Elder dropping. But it just doesn't matter when their composition is so long range. Radiance, they just can't get close enough. Except to the Mundo, the Zinzao, who are so good at staying alive. The Crescent Guard, the Sterix, the ultimate on the Mundo as well. So many ways to get out of dodge, and they've done just that. Now with the Elder, you can't even step up if you are Radiance. That's another inhib dropping.
Porsche has just respawned at this point. Oh, look at the burn.
That's a
coming
Lux.
out onto Raheen.
That's a
You have
Lux.
to be really careful. And this is a really crazy composition that Supernova have come up with. You land one single bit of CC, whether it be a Lux Bind, a Caitlyn Trap, a TF Gold card, and there's just so much more damage that can come out. You have the Final Spark, you have the Ace in the Hole coming out from Psycho, even some headshots that could come through, and it's just so hard for Radiance to even play the game, as if they take one faulty misstep and they're just dead.
Yeah, definitely. It's just impossible. Everyone can be one shot on your team. Right now, you're looking for that miracle pick, that miracle scenario, where you've got that one ward that doesn't get cleared and you can TP to it once those come back up and available, or you've got someone out of position that you're able to find with another time bluster, kick flash. Something of that nature is what you need at this point in the game, because fighting front to back against a 4-item Caitlyn, a 3.5-item Twist of Fate, a 2-item Zinzao with a stopwatch on board, and don't forget, we were talking about Lux damage. That's a Shadow Flame and a Crown and a Blighting Crystal. Yeah. It's just so difficult for Radiance to approach these fights.
Yeah, it's the Pseudo's putting on his carry pants in this game.
Yeah.
We're going for the full damage Lux. No Shurelias, no Moonstone, none of that. Gonna go straight for the one-shots, and I might have the actually potential to do some one-shots here with the Elder Dragon still affecting the members here of Supernova. The final inner turret of the Radiance base will fall, as Supernova are gonna try and make it inhibitor number 3.
Yeah, and I think they will in short order. The Elder's still on, so there's not really any hope of winning a fight. It should wear off pretty soon here, as Twisted Fate Ultimate is coming just to zone them off. That's triple inhib now in favor of Super.
Radiance in a bit of a dire situation at this point. Elder Dragon will, go away shortly. So there's still some potential for Radiance to maybe fight a 5v5, but the Baron is spawning in 10 seconds. Burns are still coming through for the time being. And with that Ocean Soul as well, Supernova can just dance around the pit as much as they want, or maybe go for a play like this.
Oh, the old school Supernova Death No, good Bluster. Check by Bluster. Very smart, as Pseudo wanted to eviscerate somebody right there.
I mean, if they walked a little bit closer, might have been just that.
He said he was going to delete a champion. Unfortunately, every skill shot missed, and now here comes Porsche.
Uh-oh, here comes Porsche. Needlework already under use right now. The healing is coming through. Look at it, it's absolutely massive. Raheen almost taking down Fire Theft, but Porsche will fall to Pseudo. Nice kick in onto Psycho by Bluster, but it doesn't look like Radiance has enough damage to do anything about it. Psycho forced to flash away, has the Immortal Shield though to keep himself alive. 4 dead on the side of Radiance, and it might be 5 in just a little bit as Light Pulse has to flash away. Supernova are 5 strong and are in the base of Radiance, and they will go 2-0 to start off day 1 of the Proving Grounds Open Qualifier after taking down Light Pulse.
It's just so hard to fight if you're Radiance, and Supernova make it look so easy. Beautiful stuff. They will take down the Nexus. They will take down Radiance, and they're now in the top 8 teams in the bracket sitting at 2-0.
When you take a look at the Supernova roster, Hawk, if you're not a super big follower of the collegiate scene, you might not recognize so many of these names. You might think, okay, I saw Ariandel on OQ last year. I saw Psycho on some of the wildcard teams, but Fire Theft, Baco, and Pseudo, I don't know too much about them. But they came to play, and they are showing why they are worthy to be playing here on one of the best well-known amateur rosters here in North America. Supernova with a very, very impressive win over Radiant, showing that they got the macro to, push this team to the next level.
Yeah, and there was a lot of questions coming in to this tournament about Supernova. I feel like there's a lot of questions about a lot of teams, but when you're bringing in this many rookies that haven't been around the scene for that long, there's always going to be questions. And, when we asked the coach of Supernova what he thought about his team, he said, look, we've got a lot of rookies, but by the end of the season, they're going to, be looking at Academy off. They're going to be one of the top teams in amateur, and taking down Radiance right here in the second game of the season, that's a good start. This team is already looking so strong. They played around a clearly defined win condition so exceptionally well. Maybe they can clean up the early game. Maybe they don't fall so far behind and make the game a little bit more difficult for themselves, but they never were out of the game at all. They were only about 1,000 gold down. And once their composition got going, once they took down that bot lane turret, it just blew the game wide open.
Just big shout outs to Ariandel there on the Twisted Fate, going all over the map, making so many plays mid, late, and early game, and really just helping his team get the snowball rolling. Fire Theft became an unstoppable menace up on that Dr. Mundo towards the end of the game. Psycho on the Caitlyn had so many amazing kills, and it was all really thanks to a lot of the playmaking that Baco and Ariandel ended up going for. And Radiance on the other side did have some flashy macro plays themselves, especially towards the early game. It just felt like Hawk towards the later stage of the game, they haven't really found out too many situations of, playing from behind, and they're just gonna have to work on that.
Yeah, it's hard when your towers are down to not get beat to neutral objective setups, but Radiance got beat to neutral objective setups. And when, again, Caitlyn, Lux, Twisted Fate, if you're getting beat by those champions to neutral objectives, it's just impossible to play, unfortunately. And it seems like they never really cracked the code on how to win the team fights, as we do get to see the damage charts. And Porsche did pretty big damage. Unfortunately, just wasn't enough.
Porsche on the Gwen. You saw the amount of healing that went through. I think he literally regenerated almost his entire health bar in that last fight, but unfortunately for him was just not enough to get the win over to Radiance. They will fall to 1-1, play against another team of that same record tomorrow in round 3. But just taking a look at the gold graph really quick, we saw that little jump, the big trampoline jump, so to speak, Hawk,
the moon bounce
mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, but it just continued to snowball over and over again after that.
Yeah, I know. You get moon bounce once, and that's all you need. You're set. You've got that moon bounce fix. Supernova, yeah. They took it to the moon and never really looked back. We do see a downward spike on that one team fight that they did fumble around mid lane, but again, was not a catastrophic fumble. It was slightly in favor of Radiance by a couple of kills, and then Radiance wasn't able to take Baron, and it was just a reset after that, and then Supernova promptly took control of the game once again, not letting a neutral objective go since the first Rift Herald of the game, which remember was a trade of first dragon for first herald, or maybe second dragon for first herald. So Supernova really doing a phenomenal job dictating the river.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited to see them continue to show what they've got as they continue to move forward here in the open qualifier here. Only one win away now for securing that crucial spot into the group stage of the Unified Proving Grounds qualifier. But Hawk, that is going to be it for the broadcast tonight. Make sure to tune in tomorrow as we got the final 3 games of the group stage. Going to finalize who is going to be in the group stage starting on Wednesday and who will be on the outside looking in. We'll see you then.